Once upon a time, in a small village in Africa nestled between rolling hills and fertile farmland, there lived a young girl named Ngozi. She was born with a rare and unique trait, deep green eyes. In a village where brown eyes were the norm, Ngozi's green eyes stood up like a rare gem. Her parents were overjoyed at the sight of their beautiful daughter, but little did they know that her eyes would bring them both joy and sorrow. From the moment Ngozi opened her eyes, the village was abuzz with chatter. Some villagers believed that her green eyes were a sign of good luck, while others saw it as a curse. Ngozi's parents, being simple farmers, were not aware of the significance of their daughter's eyes. They only knew that she was their precious little girl, and they loved her dearly. But as Ngozi grew older, she became aware of the stares and whispers that followed her wherever she went. The other children in the village would taunt her, calling her names like witch and demon. The adults in the village looked at her with suspicion as they believed that she was possessed by an evil spirit, so they prevented their children from playing with her, in order not to be possessed like her. Ngozi couldn't understand why her eyes were causing so much hatred towards her. She longed to fit in and be accepted by her peers, but her green eyes made her an outcast. Despite the discrimination she faced, Ngozi never let it break her spirit. She was a kind and gentle soul, with a heart of gold. Her parents raised her to be resilient and to always stand up for what she believed in. And so, Ngozi continued to go about her days with a smile on her face, even though her heart ached from the hurtful words and actions of others. As Ngozi grew older, she realized that her green eyes were not just a physical trait, but they also gave her special abilities. She could see things that others couldn't, and she had a strong intuition that guided her in times of trouble. Her parents always told her that her eyes were a gift from the gods, and she believed them. One day, a terrible drought hit the village, and turned their once fertile lands into desolate patches of dust. The villagers watched in despair, as their crops withered away under the scorching sun, leaving behind a barren landscape devoid of life. Water sources dried up, and even the animals struggled to survive. Families faced hunger and thirst, their livelihoods hanging by a thread. The villagers were desperate for water and food, but no rain came. As days turned into weeks, desperation gripped the villagers tighter. Ngozi watched the sufferings of her people and knew that she had to do something to help her people. She closed her eyes and prayed to the gods for guidance. Suddenly, she saw a vision of a nearby river that was still flowing despite the drought. Ngozi knew that this was a sign from the gods, and she shared her vision with the villagers. The villagers refused to believe Ngozi, and some even blamed her for bringing a curse upon their village. They suggested that Ngozi should be sacrificed in order to appease the gods of the land. The villagers planned to go to Ngozi's house, to carry out their plans, but they were stopped by Chief Okoro. Chief Okoro was the oldest man in the village, and he was known for his wisdom and wise words. Chief Okoro said to the angry villagers, "Please, calm down and give the young lady a chance." The villagers held great respect for Chief Okoro, so they decided to listen to him. So with Ngozi's guidance, the villagers found the river and were able to survive the drought. The villagers were ashamed of themselves and regretted how they treated Ngozi. With deep remorse, they asked Ngozi to forgive them. Ngozi, with a warm and compassionate heart, forgave the villagers. The villagers were grateful to Ngozi and finally accepted her as one of their own. The children who once taunted her now looked up to her with admiration, and the adults respected her for her wisdom and bravery. But Ngozi's challenges were far from over. One day, a group of strong, scary-looking warriors arrived in the village. They were big and loud, and they made everyone in the village feel scared and unsafe. Their leader, a powerful and cruel man named Uche, took a liking to Ngozi. He saw her green eyes as a sign of power and demanded that she become his wife. Ngozi refused, but Uche was not one to take no for an answer. He threatened to harm the village and its people if Ngozi didn't agree to his proposal. Uche and his men trampled on the crops of the villagers and destroyed the huts of the villagers. Uche and his warriors brought fear and panic among the villagers. The once peaceful village has been shattered by the tyranny of Uche and his ruthless warriors. Uche did all this to force Ngozi to submit to him and agree to be his wife. Ngozi felt helpless, but she did not want to marry a ruthless man like Uche. So she once again turned to the gods for guidance. She closed her eyes and prayed with all her heart. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed through the village, and a mighty lion appeared out of nowhere. It was the spirit of the lion, the guardian of the village, who had come to protect Ngozi and her people. The lion chased Uche and his men away, never to be seen again. From that day on, Ngozi was hailed as a hero in the village. Her green eyes were no longer seen as a curse, but a blessing. She had proven to everyone that her eyes did not define her, but her actions and her heart did. Ngozi's story spread far and wide, and she became known as the girl with the green eyes who overcame all odds. She continued to use her special abilities to help those in need, and her kindness and courage inspired many. And as for the villagers, they learned a valuable lesson: to never judge someone based on their appearance, but to see the beauty within. And so, the girl with the green eyes lived happily ever after, surrounded by love and acceptance from the people she once called her own. Her story became a folktale, passed down from generation to generation, reminding everyone that true beauty lies in the heart, not in the eyes. The moral lesson from this story is that we should never judge someone based on their physical traits, but instead, we should value their inner qualities and contributions. Thanks for watching. Kindly consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Your support will mean the world to me.